Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special Sports Den quarantine episode. This is show 2. So we're all from our dens. I am Kenton Kipp. We've got JW Cox, and we've got, it's no longer my birthday, Rick Palermo.
Yeah, birthday is long gone.
Just an old man like the rest of us now.
Party every day like it's your birthday, Ray.
Oh, I've been. Hence why I've got my D Rose jersey on, because it's the basketball episode today, right?
D Rose life. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, guys. So today's episode is girls basketball. So we're going to talk about our 3 teams, Blaine, Centennial, and Spring Lake Park. And personally, I love it when all of our teams are good, at one sport, and all 3 of our teams. Fun to watch the games where they played each other, just absolutely riveting to the very end. Almost every time they played each other, and just a fun year. So this will be exciting to talk about. We go in alphabetical order, and so we're gonna go with JW, and we're gonna go with Blaine.
Yeah, the Blaine Bengals, you talk about a fun team and a team that over the years has been very competitive in Section 7, and this year no different with 18 wins and just flying out of the gate as the Bengals were able to push themselves to that 18-win season, starting 10-2 to open things up, and that's going to set the stage for a lot of good things. Of course, it didn't end the way they wanted to. Section 7 can be tough when you get to those final stages. They were upended in the semis by the 3rd seed Forest Lake in a tight ball game, of course, 69-67. But just 3 seniors that were averaging double figures on this season, and to have players and contributions like that, it was good. And you could tell the mental toughness of this team. By the way, they bounced back in the postseason against a team that beat them at the end of the regular season. Coon Rapids hands them a loss at the end of the regular season, and that's got to give the Cardinals a little bit of a lift headed into the postseason, knowing you're going to face them again and a team you just beat. Well, the Bengals made sure that they could avenge that loss and keep their season going one more before that semifinal finish to Forest Lake. So a lot of good seniors on this team. And Kenton, I know that Coon Rapids game was something that you were able to zero in on with the way they were able to bounce back and really just put a tough loss behind them and keep chugging.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Coon Rapids taking the first one, and a rivalry that, a lot of years hasn't been close in some of the sports, but girls basketball this year, good battles that they had, and Blaine to be able to come back in the playoffs. And you mentioned those players, like all of those key players came through. Kayla Bohr, Anna Garfield, Madison Hoehne, just everyone, and they really separated themselves late in the first half, and then into the second half it just continued on, and it got to the point where they were up by more than 20 points, and they just kept on the gas, and they pull away with the win. So that was a nice playoff victory before, like you said, they lost to Forest Lake in the semis.
As we look at the players that were able to make an impact in that section tournament, and they were the same players that were the key players all year long, and it will be tough next year to lose starters that were averaging in double figures, but in the scheme of 2019 and 2020, there were some tremendous players that we got to see wear the Bengal blue.
Yeah, and I think you can't go without talking about Kayla Bohr, the senior. She was one of the leaders on this team in points games. Well, led the team in points, 19.1 points per game. Led the team in games played, tied for lead, played in all 26 in the regular season, and she did it in a variety of ways. She could hit the 3 ball, but she could also go down in the post and make some things happen. And when you have a senior that is aggressive and not afraid to, kind of take over or at least handle a lot of the offense in a ball game, they can really uplift your team, not only from, an offensive standpoint, but just collectively to know, hey, we've got Kayla Bohr to rely on offensively, and she can do some special things out there on the court. So I think she's, you got to start with her, right? She led the team in scoring 19 points a game. And it wasn't just her senior year. Her junior year, she led the team in scoring with 14.6 points per game. And then in her sophomore season, she also led the team scoring just over 9 points a game. So she has steadily improved her offense, and she's been leading the Bengals, for the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, Kayla Bohr got it started. One of her running mates, Anna Garfield, I mean, she was in double figures too all season long. And you talk about the ability to turn things on and the ability to be athletic and add to a team's overall scoring punch, a team that certainly had a scoring punch throughout the entirety of that regular season, as you mentioned. Garfield was right there and just a great complementary piece, but at the same time, a player, when you're averaging 13 and a half a game, you're a player that at times, if teams are over pursuing on either Bohr or Madison Hoehne, who we'll talk about too, you know you can find your shot and get your shot and be able to contribute on that offensive side as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of Madison Hoehne, great year she had. My favorite part of Hoehne's game is the fact that there is always arc on the ball and there's gold at the end of that rainbow. Whether it's a three-pointer from right at the arc, whether it's 5 feet deep, you know, she's hitting clutch threes coming off of screens. And then even when she drives to the basket, the arc on her runner and her layups is something to aspire to. So kids, if you want to know, you know, how to shoot, watch Madison Hoehne. Just the teardrop that, I mean, it's a good thing they have high ceilings at Blaine because that's where Madison Hoehne makes her hay.
Hoehne hay from up high.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of like D'Angelo Russell.
Speaking of up high, Ricky, we did get the opportunity to talk to someone that can jump higher than anyone we know.
Yeah. And that would be Madison Schmidt. She's a good jumper for all three sports that she plays: volleyball, basketball, and track and field. And we also learned in this interview that when we recently talked to her that she's able to move some logs.
I'd like to welcome in Madison Schmidt of Blaine Bengals. Not only played basketball but also volleyball and track and field for Blaine, three-sport athlete. Welcome to the show, Madison.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming on the show. Our good friend Rick Palermo is going to start with some questions for you.
Well, Madison, yeah, thanks for joining us. Just kind of, how's quarantine going? How's everything happening? You're a senior. Your senior year just kind of got halted for a little bit. What's this been like for you as a high school, student and then an athlete?
It's definitely been disappointing just not to have the classes and the teachers, especially with AP classes coming up. That's all thrown off. And then sports, obviously, I'm missing the majority, if not all, of my senior track season, which is really disappointing. But I'm making the best of it. All this time has chances to touch up on old hobbies and new hobbies and just spending some extra time with family, especially given that I'm going to be out of here in couple months now. It's been disappointing, but it's nice to have the time that it's given.
Yeah, what are your plans after high school? And then how is that being affected by all this?
So next year I'm going to Notre Dame to compete in track, and I'll probably major in either chemical engineering, biochemistry, or neuroscience. Still deciding there. So far it hasn't affected anything. I don't head out there until August, and I don't have to leave any earlier than typical for track. So far it hasn't affected that at all, and hopefully the situation will be resolved by the time that happens.
Yeah, hopefully. We can only hope for the best, right, coming out of this. But all right, so you're here to we're doing kind of best of moments, because there are no sports to talk about right now, so we're kind of reliving some of the past, and especially this year with the basketball season. So your Blaine Bengals 18-10 overall, really good offense. Just when you think back to your season last year as a senior, what comes to mind about that team?
The culture was just so unique compared to other teams that I've been on. People really wanted to be there, and we wanted to win. It wasn't as previous seasons we hadn't wanted to, but we just came together and we found a way. We found a way to just use the drive, use our goals, and make things happen on the court more so than we had in the past. And it was a really good culture to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun watching you girls play basketball this season, and some really exciting games definitely took place. Do you have a favorite moment? Do you have a favorite game? Is there one game that sticks out in your head?
Definitely the Centennial game, winning in triple overtime. There has never been a game, or honestly sporting experience, very close to that, just with the whole crowd rushing the court. It was something that you talk about that doesn't happen. It was one of those fairy tale moments for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we live for, right? Covering high school sports, you want moments like that, going to triple overtime, and it's ridiculous. And to beat a rival too, in that had to be definitely special. So you mentioned off the top, you're a 3-sport athlete. In the fall, you play volleyball. Now, do these skills kind of transfer onto the basketball court, or are they separate, or how do you benefit from being a 3-sport athlete?
Well, definitely. It's all cross-training. I mean, jumping for volleyball and constantly blocking. Same idea as getting up for rebounds and just getting up and down the floor in general. And then obviously just communication, honestly, is something that I've found that is one of my strengths in all the sports. Talking on the volleyball court, talking on the basketball court, it's something that coaches look for and that helps the team. So that's something that just helps transfer. And every once in a while at the start of basketball season, I'll be like, mine. But I get in the flow. And it's the communication itself that is good and that transfers.
Rick still uses that when he's on the basketball court.
Yeah. And at the dinner table, right?
I almost lost a digit once having a meal with Rick.
Yeah, get your pizza quick. So with communication being key, there were 5 seniors on last year's team, 3 of them starting. What was the communication like? What was the chemistry like? Talk about the group of seniors that you're a part of.
It was a really great group of girls. Pretty much all 5 of us have played the last couple of years. And honestly, we've known each other since way before that, since 4th grade basketball or even earlier. We've been playing on the same team or teams that interact a lot, and it was great to have built up the relationships that we had and to know how bad we wanted it, and to have gone through a couple seasons that were just nowhere near what we wanted and not what we thought we deserved given our effort. And it was good to just bring it all together with a team and to just help create the culture that we wanted and that we felt had been lacking the past couple of years.
Yeah, and that perfectly brings in the next question I had was, I think you guys kind of made a statement to the conference that, Blaine can kind of be a powerhouse and Blaine can make some noise in the Northwest Suburban Conference. Do you think that your group of seniors kind of led that charge?
I definitely do. And it's a whole team effort, but I think it's something that we really took upon ourselves to create and to hold each other accountable to. We had a lot of good conversation throughout the season after tough losses, and even just whenever we felt that we were kind of stalling, we'd have a good conversation about goals. We'd stay after an hour after our game ended talking in the locker room about what we each individually needed to do to make the team we wanted it to be.
And Madison, the Northwest Suburban Conference, very tough conference for girls basketball. And Blaine, as we said, had some down years, and you guys found a way to compete and rise above that and have a successful season. What do you think that says to other girls in the program, whether they're junior, sophomores, or even at the youth level, where, making a big leap with not just in the win column, but really generating excitement for the program?
I mean, I think it says a lot for what the years to come are going to look like for the program. Even just getting that energy, getting a feel of what it's like to be on a team that has that drive, that has that extra quality that a team needs to find a way on the court. It's something that you can continue building on every year. If you're a freshman who doesn't play varsity, who's on the freshman team, and you see that, that's what you want to do. That's who you want to be. If you're a younger underclassmen playing on varsity, that's something you get a taste for, and you don't want to get rid of that taste. You get hungry for it, and you come back the next year with the same drive and that same passion. And even on like youth night, when we see the younger girls, it's great to see them come out and then to give them a win or to give them our whole effort and just to show them the happiness that we get from getting out there and playing the way we did this year.
Speaking of the happiness and the competitive nature of you, you're a great competitor, but you're always smiling out on the court. Like, do you ever get mad, and what does that look like?
I I do. I get frustrated sometimes with when we make a bad play or something, but it's not something that I let get to me. I think positivity is just a characteristic that you can have that will always better you. So I just try and keep that constant. And honestly, I'm always happy when I'm playing basketball, playing volleyball, running track, all of it. It just makes me happy to be there. So there's no reason to let parts of it get me down.
What sport frustrates you the most? Because you're very competitive, you're very successful in all three fields. But what one, like when something goes wrong, what are you most upset about? What gets you going?
I don't know, honestly. They all have their moments of the little things that I just slip up on sometimes and frustrate me. But I wouldn't say that any sport gets me most frustrated. They each have their equal trials and their equal joyous moments.
And I've seen Madison kind of attacking techniques and going over things, whether it's volleyball or whether it's basketball. So she finds a way to kind of work through those things. That I think that's her way of working through frustration. So speaking of youth players, like if you were to take a bunch of third grade girls basketball players, how many of them could you jump over?
I don't know. You should find out.
We'll put that to the test once quarantine's over.
Once quarantine,
yeah. So speaking of that, and then we have track and field. You are the reigning champion in the high jump. You are the state champion, so that's awesome. But this right now is not allowing you to defend your title. Tell us kind of what that experience is like. Were you really looking forward to defending it, and kind of how that's going?
I was. It's definitely taking a toll on me emotionally, and it's something that hasn't even fully set in because there's still hope that I've got holding out for at least a bit of a season come May. I don't know if that'll come to fruition or not, but it's something that I'm definitely disappointed I won't have the opportunity to do. It's something that really fuels my competitive drive to get out there, and even to reach past what I've done so far. I really wanted to get new PRs in both running and high jumping, and just set even higher standards for those to follow, to try and reach for. But ultimately, I know this is what it will be. It's how things are. And if the next time I'm high jumping, it's at Notre Dame, that's what's going to happen.
Well, at least you have Notre Dame to look forward to. I guess that's okay. Do you have like a high jump pit in the backyard, basement, garage? Anything that you work on at home? Have you set anything up yet?
I have.
Are you stacking mattresses up high, or what are you doing?
That's the next step. I haven't got to that point yet, but that's the next step. I've just been doing like jumping exercises, stuff to train for it. I have yet to actually set up a pit of mattresses.
All right. That's the next step. So you're gonna, if you post some YouTube videos and then challenge others to see if they can beat, 3 box springs and 2 mattresses or whatever it is. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll look forward to that. All right. So my last question here, and I'll give Rick an opportunity here, is if you could leave a legacy behind at Blaine High School, you've played 3 sports, you've gotten to meet so many girls and coaches. If you could leave a legacy for the younger students at Blaine High School, what would that be?
I think it would just be to trust your teammates, your coaches, and then just to get out there and give it all. It's something that honestly I feel like I have been able to do with basketball and volleyball. Throughout the volleyball season, I'd say it was the group of girls that I felt trusted each other most throughout my whole time at Blaine Volleyball. We had some really good discussions about what it meant to trust your teammates and how to put that into action, how to hold each other accountable. For basketball, we really reached further success than we had in the past because we found a way to give our all to get out there and work with each other. And to have just a good dynamic and team energy. And track, obviously, we've had chances and moments as a team to just get out there and be happy for all of each other's successes. We were conference champs 2 years in a row. That was great to be out there with a team and celebrate each other. And honestly, I think a combination of all those three things are just what I'd like to leave behind to future athletes, to trust each other, to have that drive, and then to just celebrate each other and ourselves.
Awesome.
Yeah, really well put. I guess we can end on a high note here. Is there something like something funny that you can give us that you've been doing since this whole quarantine? Is there like a certain book or something kind of unusual that you've been doing that other people would know? Like for me, I've been playing chess on my computer pretty much every day.
Is it battle chess or regular chess?
No, real chess.
Okay.
I'm on level 21 out of 100. So we're getting there. But Madison, anything weird, quirky that you've been doing?
Let me think. I've done lots of random things.
Yeah, random.
Kind of weird. As like a workout adaptation, I hauled a bunch of logs my dad cut up to stack for firewood. I don't know if that counts.
It's cross training. I like it. The outdoorsman training. Yes, I like it.
Nice.
Oh, okay, Madison, I know you're a competitor, and we are going to now move to the fast money round. There is no money, but I will ask questions. You have 60 seconds to answer as many questions as you can. All right, and you will be awarded points for correct answers.
All right.
Are you ready?
You got a timer? Here
Okay, the timer will start when I'm done asking the first question.
All right.
All right? All right, Madison. Name your favorite dessert.
Blueberry crisp.
Favorite book.
Pride and Prejudice.
Favorite movie.
Dead Poet Society.
Favorite sport.
I have lots.
Name one.
Track.
All right. Your middle name.
Jane.
Square root of 4.
2.
Name 3 animals that start with the letter B.
Bear, bug, boar.
Avoiding the Bengal. Okay. Name the best scent in the world.
The best what?
Scent. Like smell.
Campfire.
All right. Name 2 words that rhyme with Earl.
Pearl.
And another one.
Pearl.
What is Rick's last name?
Rick?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh,
time is up. Time is up. You were doing pretty good. Let's see. We've got, and then before I tally up the points, I have one untimed question. If the quarantine were completely over, everything is G, and you could do anything, what would you do?
First thing I would do is take a bunch of friends up to my cabin and go tubing and water skiing and all that good stuff.
All right. I will award 5 points for that. I'm going to tally up the rest of your points.
Pride and Prejudice. I did not see that one coming, Madison.
I have lots of favorite books. It's hard to choose. That was the last one I read.
Oh, nice.
Okay, Madison, 13 points for you. Congratulations, Madison. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. A big thank you to coming on Sports Den Quarantine, and congratulations on all of your respective seasons. And hopefully you had fun. I know that Mr. Palermo and I did.
Yeah, nice.
Palermo.
Yeah, Palermo.
Hey, thanks,
all right, you won't
Madison.
forget it now. Thank you, Madison.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Blaine, their big moment of the year, avenging a loss to rival Centennial earlier in the year.
Centennial Blaine round 2. Jodi and the Hoopin' Cats travel to Blaine. Let's jump into it. Early on, Kayla Bohr attacking the hoop. Cougars steal and fast break for Sydney Cubes. Watch the finish. The Bengals off the bench. Mdeek knocks down the 3. Lexi. But Jodi Anderson of the Cougars scoring force. in the first half and one with the fall. 22 first half points. Hannah Herzig. Loose ball beats the buzzer. 37-35 Cougars at the break. Second half, Bengals, Anna Garfield. Big name in any cat clash. Allison Terry. She knocks down the three. Bengals up 7 in the second half. Madison Hoehne. The long three. 57-48 Bengals pulling away. They're up 10 with under 3 minutes to play inside. Jenna Geyer gets to go. Then Herzig attacking the hoop. Cougars chipping away late. They came from behind the 5-point deficit with a minute and a half last time to beat the Bengals. They're trying. And Jodi Anderson knocks down the three. 64-63 Cougars within one. They're coming. Down three, Herzig. So clutch. Super sophomore. Ties the game at 66. We go to OT. Grace Johnson knocks down the three. They're keeping their scoring run going. Then Hoehne puts a stop to things. She knocks down the three. And then Terry, it's her turn. She hits the three, and we're tied at 72. And we go to OT2. Herzig, top of the key, knocks down the three, 78-74 Cougs. Watch this. Lexi Mdeek slicing through and one with the foul on fleek. 3-point play, they're within one. Garfield gives the Bengals a lead, 79-78. Cougs down three, Herzig fouled. The sophomore hits all 3 free throws. And we go to, how about OT3? Tired yet? Mdeek, she's just warming up. Tracks down the loose ball rebound. Would not be denied. Put back. And then again, scrapping for loose balls. This time put back and the foul. Mdeek. Cougs get within two, 88-86, but Mdeek and the Bengals hang on in extra time, 92-86. Bengals win.
Honestly, like, it's just putting it all out there, and like, we knew how much this game meant to us, and like, when you get out there, like, you just have to like shake everything off and like leave your all on the court. It just felt like amazing to like win finally for like so long. It's been forever since we beat this team.
Yeah, I really can't. I mean, you know, they've got us last time we were up near the end and they got us. We were disappointed in ourselves and we wanted it bad, and I think it showed. I mean, we were down in overtime, the double overtime we were down, but we came back and it feels really good to win.
It was really cool. It really helped. The boys don't get to see a lot of our games because we play back-to-back, so it was really cool that they got to come back and watch us because we support them, they support us. It's cool.
I mean, if that's not the most thrilling game we've had in girls basketball in a while, I'd want to see the other one. I mean, so certainly a good moment, and the fact, like you said, going into it and throughout it, Kenton, this was avenging a loss, so we end up with the split on the Blaine and Centennial rivalry. We'll switch to the Centennial side. As Kenton said, we go in alphabetical order on the other side of this break. The Cougars girls basketball team, that's who we'll spotlight next here on Sports Den Quarantine Edition.
Pecorino, Campidoglio, vino rosso, vino bianco, cappuccino, Rigoletto, Canaletto, Saccomano, Vaporetto, Portofino, Leonardo, Amaretto, Marco Polo, Parmigiano, Caravaggio, Arlecchino, Allegretto ma non troppo piano, piano, Bardolino. Viva, 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 viva l'Italia, viva l'Italia, viva, 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 viva l'Italia che mi va.
Back inside the quarantine den here with Kenton, Rick, and JW, and we're continuing with our girls basketball edition of our winter season wrap-up. So it's going to be fun to continue on with these teams, but don't forget, we're bringing you the other sports as well on separate episodes here. So we're bringing plenty of content as you're stuck inside here with Sports Den Quarantine Edition. We move on alphabetically to the Centennial Cougars girls basketball team, another 20-win season for the Cougars as they continue to be dominant in the gym. And it was a dominant start in their first 17 games, winning 15 of those, including an 11-game win streak, a top 10 team, no doubt about it, in that stretch. And Kenton, I know you've seen a lot of these teams, and this is just another Centennial team that found ways to get it done and certainly had a lot of talent involved to do that out the front of the season and to a run in the section tournament.
Absolutely. Centennial, always fun to watch. They're always reloading year after year. And with the coaching change too, it's tough to say what's going to happen. But when you return players like Jenna and Jodi Anderson coming off of their sophomore seasons, and then you have new players stepping up like Hannah Herzig, and right away you got the feeling that there was something special about even some of these new players. As you saw in the Park Center game is when we really got to take notice of Hannah Herzig.
Yeah, they proved themselves against a team that is always going to be in the mix in Section 5 in Park Center. And in the regular season, it was the Cougars who proved themselves down early, but coming back. And yeah, Hannah Herzig beats the buzzer to complete the full comeback and get the W for the Cougars. That was a fun game, and you could tell from what they thought after the game that this was a big one for the Cougars to help buoy them to the rest of the year.
You know, we worked hard at practice. I worked hard at practice this week just to prepare for this game, and it was hard to go against those tougher girls, but I thought, my teammates were getting me the ball, and I was just finishing really well. So.
Well, with Jenna scoring so much in the paint, they really left our three-point shooting option on the outside, so we were able to pass the ball around and get open looks, and that's how I got 2 3-pointers off, especially at the end. It felt really good. I knew that we had to get a shot off in the amount of time that we had, and I knew that our teammates were going to look for the open person and get it, and it just so happened to be me, and I was just glad I was able to execute it.
A comeback victory, a big moment. It wouldn't be the only one. It'd be a season full of those. And one of the biggest ones, in addition to knocking off one of the best teams in the State Park Center, is, finding yourself trailing against Blaine, who played incredibly in this game to take a 4-point lead with about a minute and a half left. But that's when Centennial ratcheted up the defense, getting a steal, going on the fast break. They had gotten within 2. Hannah Herzig ties it, and then another steal, and Jodi Anderson takes it full court with just 16 seconds left. It takes a while, but she finally gets fouled. She makes the second free throw to give the Cougars the lead, 63-62. It's what happens then that is the most impressive of all. 7 seconds left, still time for Blaine to come down and score, but Hannah Herzig just steps in, the super sophomore. She steals, she scores, they steal away the win on their home floor. So a 65-62 victory for the Cougars.
I just knew that we had to stay together and play really good defense to be able to get the tips and get the good passes at the end and be able to execute.
I was just thinking you practice this every day in practice. It's just another day in practice. I wish I made both of them, but oh well. I was just thinking I don't want to lose right now. I'm not going to lose right now. Just got to keep playing like you want to win, and that's what I was going through my head right then.
So yet another big moment for the Cougars as they kind of made a habit of game-winning shots at the end there, which makes great television. You got to love that.
Those are the ones we like to cover. And again, it was an embarrassment of riches if you're someone who just watches our rivalry coverage and you don't have a cat in the fight, I guess. To have one that we just highlighted in Blaine in our first segment go the way of the Bengals, and as thrilling as that was, and you already had the other one with Centennial getting the win, it was a perfect year for rivalries on the court. If you're the uninterested observer, each team getting a win and both of them being very exciting, well-played games.
Indeed, and Centennial in the section playoffs, meeting some familiar opponents, teams that they met during the course of the year. They had beaten Osseo and Roseville, and we saw a comeback, a big buzzer beater win over Park Center. So those were the 3 teams they met in the section playoffs.
Section 5 4A playoffs, starting with the quarterfinal. The number 2 seed Cougars hosting the number 7 seed Osseo Orioles. and a heavy dose of Jodi Anderson, along with Jenna Geyer. Jenna, Jodi, Jenna, Jumper, G. Jollikers. Sophomore Camille Cummings hits the 3. She had 12 in this one. Cougars with the D, fast break, and the finish. Post player running the floor, Jenna Geyer had 14 points, and Jodi Anderson to lead the Cougars finished with 18 points. And sophomore Sydney Cubes, season high 13 points for her, and the Cougars win big.
Well, our coach just told us to play really tough defense and just pressure them on everything. Don't let them shoot and try not to let them get to the ball. Don't foul and contest everything.
Looking forward to continue just one game at a time, focusing on what we need to do at that game. Not worrying about what's to come. We just got to focus one step at a time.
Then it's off to Anoka High School for the semifinal round as the Cougars take on the number 3 seed Roseville Raiders. Camille Cummings just lofted it up there. Beautiful shot there. As Roseville Raiders try to hang with them in the first half, but Cougars take a big lead. Camille Cummings with the hard basket cut. Geyer feeds her, and Geyer feeds Grace Johnson. The Cougars were led by Cummings with 13 points. And then Haley Herzig knocking down the 3 from the corner. And then Cubes knocks down the 3. A low-scoring affair. Cougar D holds Roseville to 34 points. So 50 points was more than enough to get the job done as Hannah Herzig scores inside. And the Cougars advance to the finals.
It definitely did. Just continuing the intensity. My dad always tells me you gotta be consistent and continue that on.
So you just were in the locker room, getting to talk with your coach after this win. What was he telling you guys?
He was telling us that we're a great team, and it's not just one player. He just said that each player has been stepping up. It was me in the first half, he said, and then we had Haley playing great defense. We were struggling a little bit, but she came in and lit it up, and it helped.
I mean, it's really hard when the clock's narrowing down, and you just have to think that's just what we did in practice. You just gotta keep your head in the game and just focus and just be in the moment.
So you guys are gonna take on Park Center here in the finals. You've beat them already. What do you need to do to prepare for this one coming up?
Well, we just have to not let that win get ahead of us and just play it like it's our first time and not let any of them get on a roll and just play good defense, and then that'll transfer over to offense.
Centennial Cougars. They're the 2, Park Center the 1. Adelia McKenzie averaged 31 during the season. Pirates running early, show off with the pass from Lauren Frost. So cold to the D. McKenzie for 2. Cougars get a quick trigger 3 from Hannah Herzig to pull in front early. She had 7 on the night. Well-designed play here as McKenzie finds a cutting Frost who does more than pass. 2 of her 22 on that score. From the high post to the low post, McKenzie uses the help D to create an and-one opportunity. Now more from Frost, who stepped back, nets her 3 points, not making it rain, just making it snow. We can go with these puns all night. PC up 38-24 to start the second. We've got a frost warning for you. Ooh, the 3 gives you chills. Here's the first look at Jodi Anderson, the outside make, part of a 24-point night for the junior. Big scoring for her, but her team down big. Cougar defense sucked away from the lane here. Over the top pass to McKenzie. 2 more for her. Pirates win convincingly, 68-52. McKenzie and Frost combined for 50 of the 68, and the Pirates are back at state after missing out the last couple of years. Disappointing way for the Cougars season to end. They come in second place, so runners up in Section 5 4A.
And that section final game, it wasn't indicative of what we saw from Centennial. You got to give Park Center a lot of credit. I thought they had a great game plan to go out and make life tough on Jenna Geyer and Jodi Anderson early. but it never helps when you just don't hit shots. And Centennial was one of their poorest shooting nights from the outside, from the inside of the season. And it was a very motivated Park Center team who had, been up into the year before in the semifinals by our Spring Lake Park team. So they played a whale of a game, and it was just tough that if the shots fall earlier, maybe we have another instant classic there in that second half, but they didn't for the Cougars and did for the Pirates throughout that one.
Yeah, and Centennial is just the hardworking team. Their coach likes to utilize the press a lot, and when you don't make shots, you can't put the press on. So, and Park Center, a great defensive team, but when we look more at this Centennial team, you can't look past some of the players coming back, like Jodi Anderson, like you mentioned, Kenton Kipp, and Jodi Anderson's been a leader on this team ever since her freshman year. I mean, she's played in every single game. She hasn't missed a game yet, which is very impressive, and that's just indicative of her hard work outside of the games where we see her, but that goes into the practices as well. So, and she's a do-it-all player, and she's getting better at each phase as it goes on. So you look at her stats from last year, just under 16 points per game. She made 105 free throws, led the team second in the team in free throw make. So that shows that she's getting to the basket, right? She's creating contact, and not only can she make plays at the rim, she can also step back and hit the three. She made 23 pointers last year, which is 7 more than her last season as a sophomore, and 17 more than as a freshman. So she's really elevating her game in all facets. And then when you talk about her defensive ability, when we were just looking at that big moment, she had a huge steal, and all season long, it's Jodi Anderson making a steal, like I said at the start. Utilizing the press early is a key for Centennial. So when you have players like Jodi Anderson who understand it defensively, your team can just flourish from there.
And not one, Rick, but coming back with 2 players that scored 400 or more points. This Jodi Anderson-Jenna Geyer pairing, that's going to scare a lot of people in the section and the Northwest Suburban Conference next year. You mentioned everything that Anderson can do. She's got it off the bounce. She can shoot, get to the rim. You can say the same things for Geyer. She is going to be a threat in the post, and I think if all things are working well and the defense is going to give that to her, you want her to go eat in there and go get her points inside. But she can step right back out, hit shots. I think with that combination, we've just seen the tip of the iceberg with what Jenna Geyer can do. Another summer of work, certainly when we get past this quarantine situation, and then she gets into the gym next fall as well. This is going to be a dynamic player that can lead the Cougars, which, again, another 20-win season for them. They're not in a slump season-wise, but she can lead them to another tremendous year next year with the help of Jodi Anderson and those other players that are coming back.
Jenna and Jodi, both juniors. And then there's a player even younger than that stepped up for the Cougars that really impressed me. Hannah Herzig. How many times do you see a sophomore just come onto the scene and immediately make an impact, make game-winning shots, ice in the veins? There were very few times that I saw her in a clutch situation miss a three-pointer. We saw it in both Blaine games. We saw it in Park Center. We saw it against Spring Lake Park. Just night after night delivering. And how much confidence does your coach have, do your teammates have, to kick it out to you against Park Center in a situation where you've got one shot left? She goes out there, she calls for the ball, she gets it, and she delivers. I mean, that's super impressive, Hannah Herzig. And it's exciting to think that all 3 of these players and most of this cast is returning for the Cougars. I think you got to be pretty excited if you're a Cougars fan.
Yeah, I think we got more good hoops to come from that squad and all 3 of these squads too.
Absolutely. So that about wraps up the Cougs. We will take a break. We got one more team to go, and that's our Spring Lake Park Lady Panthers. Keep watching Sports Day Quarantine. Where are you going to go?
Yeah, there's nowhere to go. Just wait. Just hang out.
Well, I've loved the discussion on all of our teams so far because it was just such a great year. Everybody 18-plus wins. But Blaine, Centennial, we've seen the success that they've had in recent years. Obviously, some very good teams. What we've seen from our next team, the Spring Lake Park Panthers, is building to a year like this. Last year, one of the best years they'd had since leaving the old NSC and joining the Northwest Suburban Conference. And then this year just blows the doors off of that. And that's something that we were just all excited to see, when a team that has got a lot of players that went through some of those struggles as the seniors and the juniors, and these players have been playing on this Spring Lake Park team for a long time, did go through those struggles to start a season 11-3 the way they did this year, and then close it off with 19 wins, even though they came up short of what they wanted to do, maybe with a section title run. Just a fun team to watch, not only because of the history, but the way they could score points this year. 9 times with at least 70 points. As these Spring Lake Park teams have struggled over the years, it hasn't been a lot of offense. They've struggled to stay in games against good teams. That was not the case this year. They found their stroke, they found their range early and often, and certainly were right up there with our most fun teams to watch and giving us some great games this year.
Absolutely. Super fun to watch. We enjoyed covering them. They had some big moments that we'll talk about, some big name players and seniors that we'll talk about. We also unfortunately have to talk about how the season ended. Last year, they peaked at the end of the year. They had a quarterfinal win over Champlain Park, which was their first playoff win in I'm not sure how long. It's been a while. And then they followed that up with a huge upset win over the number 1 seed Park Center Pirates last year before losing to Centennial in section final. This year we were hoping for a couple of wins. We could see a matchup with whether it's Centennial or Park Center or whatever, just to see that playoff success. 1 win in the quarterfinals would have given them 20 wins and would have been a huge moment, and we were hoping for that. But as the 4 seed Spring Lake Park hosting the number 5 seed Champlain Park Rebels, we knew it was going to be a tough game, tough section, tough conference opponent. But the Panthers came to play. Taryn Richard, 5 of 5 3-pointers. Maya Fitzpatrick meeting the Panthers every step of the way. This one goes late. Macy Smith, a huge bucket to take the lead. Under a minute left, we go to OT. Macy Smith in OT keeps firing, keeps the Panthers ahead. But every time the Panthers pulled ahead, the Rebels and Maya Fitzpatrick met them every step of the way. And they went to a second OT. And again, Maya Fitzpatrick, this time, the Rebels take the lead in the second overtime. They hold on. They win with a big victory. Double overtime game for the Rebels. Unfortunately, it meant the end of the road for the Panthers on their home floor. But what a great season for these players. Super fun to watch. And even in a loss, that game was just an incredible game to watch, to be a part of. And it stings because they lost, but you still have to respect like how well they played and how fun it was to see that game.
Yeah, I think it was one of the more fun teams to watch. I mean, all 3 girls basketball teams we covered are fun, but to see how exciting and how new this was for Spring Lake Park to have all this success, it was just kind of anticipating some great play out of them. And they were really led by Joelle Talso. She's their senior point guard, and before her it was her sister Jocelyn Talso. We had the Talso sisters, but last year Joelle just really took over in her own. She was 3rd on the team in scoring, only 10.7 points per game, but she knew her role was to get her teammates involved, and so she'd get things going from deep. She'd hit a lot of 3-pointers, but she was also able to work on the defensive end, coming up with big steals and leading the charge on defense. And the leadership, she was part of the foundation that really kind of changed things for Spring Lake Park, and to get them to the season they had last year, with Maddie and Genny and Macy Smith coming up huge this year. So Joelle Talso, really the impetus for this Panther offense, just doing it all. And it culminated. She's an athlete. Her family's all athletic. She's got a younger brother who's a great athlete as well. And she was able to join us the other day. Kenton and I, we had a chance to sit down and talk with Joelle Talso, and she shared what she's doing now during quarantine, and she also spoke about kind of the weird things and just kind of the sadness at the end of the season.
All right, now being joined by Joelle Talso of Spring Lake Park girls basketball. Hi, Joelle. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well. Thank you for joining us here on a special Sports Den quarantine.
Yeah.
So our good friend Rick Palermo will start off with the questions.
All right.
All right, Joelle, thanks for joining us. So yes, we're all in quarantine. You being a senior, what is this like? How's your class load been changed? And just how are you dealing with everything right now?
Yeah, this is really crazy, and it kind of stinks being a senior, missing out on some of the things I was looking forward to. But fortunate enough, we were able to end our season, not the way we wanted it to, but we did get to end it. With online school, this is different, but I'm hanging in there as best as I can.
So have you picked up any new habits? Are you reading some books? What are you kind of doing to pass the time?
Basically just hanging with my family and playing board games and watching Netflix.
Yeah, a lot of Netflix going on. Because that's all we have to watch. Since there's no, current high school sports going on here at North Metro TV, we're kind of looking back at the past and seeing, let's go back and look at some big moments. Last year, your basketball season, your senior season was awesome. And I think it was part of the foundation that kind of you seniors started. You guys won 19 games last year, the most ever since you guys joined the conference in 2014. How special was last year, and how special was it to accomplish everything you guys did?
Yeah, I think it's just an honor to be a part of. Coming in my freshman year, we went from winning a couple games, 3 or 4, to now winning those 19 games. And it's just something so special to be a part of, and I'm just honored to have taken a part of it. And, we tied for first in the West Conference, so that is a big victory for us. And, yeah, it was just very cool to be a part of.
You had a lot of good players on your team throughout the past. I mean, you played with your sister. One player, Maddie and Genny, she's really come alive, since her freshman year. Talk about playing with her and what it's been like.
Yeah, playing with Maddie, we just had like this bond out there. It was just chemistry that just flowed, and that was probably one of the best players I was ever able to play with, and I'm honored to have been able to play with her.
Okay, so Joelle, you were third on your team in scoring. You averaged double digits, 10.7 points per game throughout the regular season. But being like the point guard, what was your role on the team?
My role, I kind of just think as myself as the leader, whether it be going out there and being the top scorer that night, or, being the top defender or rebounder, running those plays, getting those assists. It's not always about scoring, and, just being a leader for those girls. Yeah.
Now, when you look back to last season and kind of think about it collectively, is there a special moment or a game or a shot or something that, you think of right away?
I would definitely say beating Park Center in overtime with the buzzer beater 3-pointer. That was definitely a big night for me. Also beating Elk River. We've never beaten them, so finally getting the chance to beat them, that was also one of the highlights.
Now, I think I was there for the Park Center. It was a comeback, right? And you hit like 5 threes in the corner for that game. That was the game you're talking about?
No, that was my sister.
See, that's what we're doing here, which leads to the next question. No Jocelyn, the team last year. What's it like playing without your sister?
It was so different. Not having her there in the corner to dish off on the drive. She wasn't there, but I think we managed, and points were made up for her. But I definitely missed her. Yeah.
Is she in the house now, or where is she?
She's somewhere in the house doing some homework.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, speaking of family, I want to know, you've got, your older sister, Jocelyn, you've got younger brother, Braden, right? Yeah. And I want to know, best athlete in the family, parent or kid. Who's the best athlete? Nice.
The best athlete?
Mm-hmm.
Well, overall, I would probably say my brother, just because he plays a lot of sports and he's very athletic. But I don't know. For basketball, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to get anyone mad.
It's the politest way to say herself. So, it's a no comment. Okay. So talking about your guys' season, 19 wins, really close to 20. You guys almost got there. But still, with 19, fantastic year. I don't know if if that's the most ever for Centennial Park girls basketball.
I know that it's the best season record since 1988.
Wow.
Since 1988, and they probably didn't play a ton of games in the 80s and 70s, but so one of, if not the best season for Panthers girls basketball. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So obviously the group that you we're coming up with, the group of seniors, fantastic group. You guys turned the program around. What was your favorite part of playing with that group, those girls?
Just the family aspect of it, like you step on the court and they're your teammates, but when you step off the court, they're still your friends, they're still your family, and just being able to grow up with them and make the memories not just in basketball but also outside the game. Those are memories that I'll forever remember, and I'm definitely going to miss playing with them and seeing them every day, but those moments you cherish.
Awesome. Rick, do you have any more questions before we move on to our last segment?
Not really about the season. I was gonna say, what are you doing now to stay active?
I wish I had an answer for that. I've taken my dog on walks. That's about it. I'm kind of just enjoying the relaxation of just being able to not do anything for once.
All right. Sometimes the hardest thing is just to slow down.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of slow down, now it's time for the fast money round.
Oh.
So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, and you are going to have 1 minute to answer them. All right. So I'm going to set the timer at the completion of my first question. They will get progressively harder as we move along. Are you ready for this?
I don't know. Sure.
All right. She is clearly excited. All right. So I'm going to record your points. Okay. So this is competitive.
Okay.
All right. So, all right, Joelle, what is your favorite dessert?
Ice cream.
Favorite book?
The Bible.
All right. Favorite movie?
Tangled.
Favorite sport other than basketball?
Football.
Your middle name?
Elizabeth.
Square root of 4?
2.
Name another animal name for panther.
Cat.
Okay, I'll accept it. What is the best scent in the world?
Vanilla.
Name 2 words that rhyme with Earl.
Pearl. Girl.
All right. What is Rick's last name? That guy.
Palermo.
All right, she used it. All right. What is the capital of Louisiana? You can pass if you need to.
No, I don't know. Pass.
All right. What movie featured the character Forky?
Toy Story.
Which one?
The 4th.
All right. I'm going to give that to you.
Okay.
All right. And the timer is up. The Palermo sounded. So now we're going to move to the untimed bonus question.
Okay.
You have time to answer this one. If the quarantine were completely over and everything is G and you could do anything, what would you do?
I would probably go hang out with my friends, get some Dunkin' Donuts, and probably go to the gym and start playing basketball again.
Donuts in the gym. All right, I like it. Yeah. Yes. All right, we didn't get to the question of what is your favorite donut, though.
Oh, well, from Dunkin', I love the strawberry frosted donuts. Those are amazing.
Nice. Yeah.
All right, I'll give you 5 points for donuts and basketball with strawberry. All right.
Yeah, there's not many Dunkin' Donuts near me now, but in Chicago they have them like all over. It's like how Caribou is here.
Yeah.
You know? I wish there were more Dunkins.
Same.
All right, Joelle, we have tallied the numbers, and you have 15 points. You are now our new leader in Fast Money Round. Congratulations, Joelle.
Yeah, tell your sister and brother that you're in first place.
Yeah, you're in first. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you and your family well, and be safe.
All right, you too.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Always fun to hear from a leader, and as Rick was saying, somebody who went through the struggles of some of the tough years that Spring Lake Park had, building to what they have now. And anytime you're going to have a season that elevates your team to another height, well, you're going to want to have some positive additions and maybe a couple of new faces to lean on. Macy Smith was sure that for Spring Lake Park, just an absolute dead-eye shooter, as we saw in that highlight earlier, even in the loss to Champlin Park, knocking down big shots. And just as a junior, another 1,000-point scorer that this team adds into. As we told you, 70 points became a regular occurrence, certainly early and then throughout the balance of the season for the Panthers. And Smith was right in the middle of that, and she'll hope to bring some of that dynamic play next year as well, as they continue to try and build on what they did this year, Kenton, and build to even greater heights, and to where we don't have to have this conversation. And we talk about all three of our teams being at that consistent level of play year in and year out. And certainly the Panthers this year and the year before put two big building blocks together for that. And Macy Smith, a big part of launching that forward here in 2020.
Yeah, coming into this year, I didn't know Macy Smith. Started seeing some games. I said, who is Macy Smith? And then I asked, where did she come from? I still don't know. Like the song of Cotton Eye Joe goes. And then I saw her just knocking down shot after shot after shot. And then she reached 1,000 career points. I said, who is Macy Smith and where did she come from? And I looked at, she's a junior. What? I don't understand what's going on. So she's going to be back.
Plenty of time to dive right into the Macy Smith story come next winter, right?
Yeah, so you've got, we want answers. So we're going to find some answers on Macy Smith, and we already know answers on another junior that's year after year, 2 years in a row now, huge seasons, 3-sport athlete, big competitor, and that's Maddie Ngane. And she, whatever she lacks for in height and, physical, just being shorter, playing the post position in the Northwest Suburban Conference with all the post players she has to go up against, she finds a way. She worked on her post game. She was a big post player last year. This year she adds an outside shot. She adds perimeter play where she's taking the ball. She likes to step up to the top of the key, drive in. She has a move where she gets a little shoulder contact, create a little separation, and goes with the hook. So things that you make up for when you're a little bit smaller than your opponents, she's doing that. She is putting the work in, and we heard from her what she calls that move, and we've seen firsthand how effective it is.
You just got to take it strong. That's all I got to say.
Do you have a name for that move?
The Ngane.
The Ngane.
So coming to you next year is Avengers Ngane, so look forward to that. Leading into their big moment is probably, from the Ngane really to new heights with her, it just culminating in one big game. They had lost to Centennial. Right away they had to play Elk River, and they lost to them. And a few days later on a Monday, they had to play Elk River again. They just saw them. They just had their first back-to-back losses the entire season. So it was huge for Spring Lake Park to step up and have the game they did versus the Elks.
Elk River travels to Spring Lake Park to take on the Panthers twice in a span of 5 days. Spring Lake Park lost their first meeting. Elk River on the attack early, reverse layup from Ellie Maz. Wow, what a play. And Ngane, speaking of making plays, this is their move. Elk River, Lydia Hack, they got another hack, and she shoots the three. But Spring Lake Park, they've got Ngane. Backing it down the hook. Scores it. Macy Smith knocks down the three. Ngane still doing her thing. Dribble drive to the left. The hook off the glass. Then Ellie Bohr from deep knocks down the three to give the Elks the lead late in the first half. But then it's Panthers. Smith with another three. And then Julia Lavon from the corner puts the Panthers up 35-32 at the break. Second half inside Johanna Langben knocks it down. But Maddie Ngane off the screen takes it again with the left hand. Elk River, Michaela Kahnenwischer up ahead, scores the fast break layup. Elk River takes the lead briefly, but Spillway Park takes it back. Joelle Talso with the 3. Ashley Nienow knocks down the 3. Panthers get hot when it counts. Up 7. The nail in the coffin, T-Rich. Taryn Richard with the 3. How do you do?
You know, you just got to take it strong. That's all I got to say.
Do you have a name for that move?
The Ngane.
The Ngane.
This was probably the most fun game that we've had this season, and you could definitely tell the girls were having fun out there, and I think it all comes down to whether you gave it your all tonight, and we definitely did that. And I think this kind of sets the pace for sections coming up and the games coming forward that, you know, if we truly put everything we have out there, that we can compete with those teams, and I think that we proved that tonight.
So that's the Panthers' big moment. And last year, this year, big moments, huge steps in the program. And even with all of the seniors that they're losing, and they are losing good seniors, you look at Taryn Richard, three-point shooting that she gave them, Julia Lavon, obviously Joelle Talso, and Ashley Nienow. You know, the list of seniors, you know, there's 5 seniors that were big contributors, but you still look and there's 5 more Panthers that were big contributors this year that are coming back. And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's always the key to figure out how that new mix is going to go, where the new leadership is going to come from. That's why it's always hard to lose seniors no matter who you've got coming back. But again, a little taste of winning and learning how to win is something that hadn't really been around there, and now it's certainly got a solid footing, and I look for a lot more from the Panthers when they get back to it next year.
Yeah, and shout out Randy Etherton. I mean, just able to get these girls together and to gel and to have the chemistry and to have the success, and it turned into a really good, really fun season.
Yeah, they've weathered quite a bit of storms, and I think what's most encouraging is the future looks bright. With Ngene, Smith, Avery Dunbar, Kylie Diaz, Taylor Folvey, all these players should be back next year, and they all have within them both experience and the talent to be able to continue moving this program forward.
It's going to be fun.
All right, so that wraps up our episode on girls basketball. Thank you, JW and Rick, for coming on the show. And also thank you to our very special guests, Joelle Talso and Madison Schmidt. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a player from every team, but, you know, we're trying. We're doing the best we can from our dens here. So we're very appreciative that they were willing to come onto the show. And we had some fun interviewing them. Hopefully they had a good time. And hopefully you enjoyed what they had to say and watching our Sports in Quarantine special on girls basketball. There'll be more quarantine episodes where we feature our teams. There'll also be an MTV Classics. So we'll continue airing an MTV Classics. If there's a game that you want to see, sportsden@northmetrotv.com. And if we televised it, then we can air it as an MTV Classic. And if there's any highlights or games or plays from this year that you really want to see, also let us know. sportsden@northmetrotv.com. We can put in one of these Sports Den quarantine episodes for you guys.
It's all about you guys outside of
you
the
guys.
Yeah, we got more coming. Stay inside.
Yeah, stay inside your den. I mean, you can go inside and enjoy the weather, but then get back in your den.
Yeah, right. Just and then go turn on North Metro TV.
Do that. All right. Well, thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time. Go out and stay inside and support your teams. Go Bengals.
Go Panthers.
Go Cougars.